greatest cover-up in cosmic history didn't happen on Earth, it happened in heaven. We've been fed sanitized versions of angelic rebellion as if a few rogue spirits were gently escorted out of God's presence. The truth is far more terrifying. Scripture contains fragments of a celestial war so catastrophic, its aftershocks still ripple through our world today, in our governments, our DNA, even our supernatural encounters. This isn't ancient mythology, this is your reality. And the war isn't over. Start with the cryptic clues scattered like shrapnel through the Bible. Jude 1:6 mentions angels who abandoned their proper dwelling, not just disobeyed, but deserted their posts in a calculated mutiny. Peter's parallel account, 2 Peter 2:4, uses the Greek verb tartarou, a term so severe it means cast into Tartarus, referencing the darkest abyss of Greek mythology. This wasn't a disciplinary transfer. This was maximum security imprisonment for being so dangerous their very existence had to be quarantined from creation. But here's what most miss. These bound angels represent only one faction of the rebellion. Others, like the Prince of Persia in Daniel 10, still operate freely in the heavenly realms. The war didn't end, it just changed theaters. Now examine the smoking gun in Genesis 6, the sons of God who took human wives. The Hebrew, Bene Elohim, exclusively describes divine beings throughout the Old Testament, not righteous men. These weren't angels gone rogue, they were special forces gone AWOL, conducting an illegal genetic operation to corrupt humanity's bloodline. The Book of Enoch, quoted by Jude, details their crimes, teaching forbidden knowledge, weapons, sorcery, astrology, creating hybrid offspring, nephilim, and attempting to make humanity unsalvageable. This wasn't random sin. It was an extinction-level spiritual coup. But here's the twist that changes everything. God's response, the flood, wasn't just about wiping out evil. It was a tactical strike to preserve the messianic bloodline. The same waters that judged the world also purged it of genetic corruption. Yet Scripture hints some Nephilim survived, Numbers 13:33, meaning their influence wasn't fully eradicated. This explains the bizarre supernatural encounters throughout the Bible, from the giant Goliath, possibly Nephilim descended, to the alien-like beings in Ezekiel 1. The rebellion's fingerprints are everywhere once you know how to look. Most chilling of all, Revelation 12 suggests this war will reach its climax in the end times. The same dragon who led the first rebellion will be cast down for good, not by God directly, but by Michael and his angels. The first war was a rebellion, the last will be a rout. And in between, you're living on the battlefield. The flood didn't end the angelic rebellion, it forced it underground. While the bound watchers languish in Tartarus, 2 Peter 2:4, their unbound comrades in arms still stalk the heavenly realms, waging a shadow war that shapes human history. Daniel's vision of angelic princes battling over nations, Daniel 10, wasn't poetic imagery. It was a classified intelligence briefing on the real conflict-controlling world events. The same demonic Prince of Persia that withstood God's messenger for 21 days now operates through modern power structures, unseen but undeniable. This isn't conspiracy theory, it's spiritual fact. Witness the pattern. Every major empire that rose after Babel carried the Watcher's signature: obsession with celestial knowledge, Babylonian astrology, hybrid mythology, Greek titans, and supernatural engineering, Egyptian pyramid technology. These weren't coincidences, they were resurgences. The rebel angels couldn't physically reproduce after the flood, so they turned to cultural corruption, hijacking religions, perverting worship, and twisting divine truths into occult practices. The mystery religions of antiquity weren't primitive superstitions. They were bootleg versions of the Watcher's pre-flood curriculum. Now follow the bloodline. Nephilim DNA may have been diluted, but their spiritual legacy persists. The mighty men of renown in Genesis 6 became the giants, Anakim Rephaim, that terrified Israel's spies. Goliath's 4 brothers, 2 Samuel 21:15-22, weren't random anomalies. They were genetic time bombs left ticking. Even Israel's kings weren't immune. The Talmud suggests Saul's towering height and David's unnatural strength, tearing lion jaws barehanded, carried echoes of this tainted lineage. The rebellion didn't just attack humanity externally. It infected us biologically. But here's what the demons don't want you to realize. Their rebellion backfired spectacularly. The Watchers sought to corrupt God's image in humanity. Instead, they forced him to demonstrate his power through weakness. A shepherd boy toppled their hybrid champion. A crucified Messiah crushed their leader's head, Genesis 3:15. Now every redeemed human terrifies them more than Michael ever could, because we're living proof their worst fear came true. God can take their corruption and turn it into something glorious. The war continues today, not with flaming swords in heaven, but in the quiet choices of believers who resist the same temptations that toppled angels. Pride, 1 Timothy 3:6, rebellion, Jude 1:11, and illicit knowledge, Colossians 2:8. Every time you choose humility over self-exaltation, you're fighting in the same war that began before Eden. And the same commander who guaranteed the rebels' defeat is watching your skirmish with interest. The darkest secret of the angelic rebellion isn't what they did, it's what they left behind. When the Watchers fell, they didn't just corrupt bloodlines, they weaponized knowledge. Ancient texts like the Book of Enoch claim these renegade angels taught humanity forbidden arts, metallurgy for weapons, astrology for divination, even cosmetics for seduction. This wasn't enlightenment, it was sabotage. Archaeology confirms the sudden, inexplicable rise of advanced technology around 3000 BC, the exact era when these fallen beings allegedly walked among us. Coincidence? Or evidence of a spiritual war fought with earthly tools? Now examine the aftermath. The flood destroyed their hybrid offspring, but their teachings survived. Babylon's occult priests preserved Watcher knowledge in star charts. Egypt's pyramid architects encoded celestial mathematics in stone. Greece's oracles channeled supernatural intelligence. Every major ancient civilization carried fragments of this pre-flood rebellion, not as myth, but as state-sponsored religion. This explains why God commanded Israel to utterly destroy certain cultures, Deuteronomy 20:17. It wasn't genocide, it was spiritual decontamination. But here's where it gets chilling. The same patterns re-emerge today, disguised as progress. Modern genetic engineering mirrors the Watchers' tampering. AI development echoes their quest to create independent consciousness. Even our obsession with transhumanism, merging man with machine, parallels their hybrid agenda. The rebellion didn't end, it evolved. The most terrifying evidence? The gods of ancient cultures share uncanny similarities worldwide. The Sumerian Anunnaki, the Hindu Devas, the Greek Olympians, all described as supernatural beings who intermarried with humans, produced hybrid heroes, and demanded worship. Global flood myths? Check. Giant legends? Check. This isn't collective imagination, it's collective memory. Yet amid this darkness, hope blazes brighter. The same Bible that exposes the rebellion also guarantees its defeat. Christ's resurrection proved no corruption, angelic or human, is beyond redemption. And when he returns, the war that began with a third of the stars falling, Revelation 12:4, will end with the morning star rising, Revelation 22:16. The rebels thought they could outplay God. They were wrong. And their greatest fear? That you'll discover the power they tried and failed to steal. The most dangerous lie about fallen angels isn't that they don't exist. It's that they no longer matter. while bound watchers await judgment. Jude 1:6. Their unbound allies have spent millennia perfecting psychological warfare. Their strategy? Make humanity dismiss their existence while simultaneously reshaping civilization to serve their agenda. The evidence surrounds you. The knowledge trap. The same forbidden arts taught by pre-flood watchers now dominate our culture. Astrology repackaged as birth charts, sorcery disguised as manifestation, genetic manipulation hailed as scientific progress, the hybrid revival. Transhumanism's goal to merge man with machine isn't new. It's the Watcher's playbook updated with silicon instead of DNA. Elon Musk's Neuralink and ancient Egyptian skull implants share the same spiritual root: the obsession to transcend human limits through unnatural means. The celebrity deception. Ancient cultures worshipped hybrid demigods. Today's celebrity worship follows the same pattern: godlike adoration of stars, surgical body modification, occult symbolism in mainstream media. But here's what they fear you'll discover: their time is running out. Revelation's timeline shows their leader's final defeat, Revelation 20:10, and their hybrid system's destruction, Revelation 13:15-18. The same bloodline they tried to corrupt will judge them, 1 Corinthians 6:3. This war isn't coming, you're living in its final maneuvers. Every choice to resist cultural programming, every rejection of counterfeit spirituality, every stand for biblical truth is another blow against the rebellion. The Watchers failed, their successors are failing, and soon, very soon, their war will be over. The final chapter of this cosmic war won't be written by angels, fallen or faithful, but by a group the rebels never saw coming: redeemed humanity. Scripture reveals the stunning climax, not with angels crushing the serpent's head, but with glorified saints executing judgment on the very beings who once sought to corrupt them. 1 Corinthians 6:3. This is why the rebellion rages with increasing desperation in these last days. The demons aren't just fighting their inevitable defeat. They're terrified of your awakening to the authority Christ bought for you. Consider the divine irony. The Watchers tried to make humans less than God's image. Their hybrid offspring became monsters. Christ makes humans more than angels. His redeemed become partakers of the divine nature. 2 Peter 1:4. The rebellion's upgraded nephilim were destroyed in the flood. God's truly upgraded people will reign eternally. This explains the enemy's frantic efforts to distort identity, gender confusion, transhumanism, corrupt worship, AI messiahs, celebrity cults, erase history, biblical skepticism, rewritten origins. They're not just attacking truth, they're trying to prevent you from remembering who you really are. The beings destined to judge angels, the bride Christ is returning for, the living proof that their rebellion failed utterly. The war's final battle lines are now being drawn, not in heaven, but in human hearts. Every choice to embrace Christ's lordship, every rejection of the world's counterfeit spirituality, every act of true worship advances the kingdom that will soon crush all rebellion. Daniel 2:44. The morning is coming when Michael will chain Satan, Revelation 21:3, not as the end of the story, but as the prelude to your eternal reign with Christ. The fallen angels gambled everything on one arrogant assumption, that creatures could become like God without God. They were wrong. And soon, sooner than they want you to believe, every knee will bow to the truth they rejected, and every mouth will confess what they fought to deny, that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload.